Last bit we're going to move on to now is, your transition to first team football. So first question would be, you made your debut at Sheffield United, which is obviously the club you did your scholarship at. Why did they give you your debut? Why did they play you? What did you do that made them play you?
We had a change in manager. So the back end of my second year scholar, Nigel Adkins, had put me on the bench for a couple of games. So I got sort of the taste. And then Chris Wilder came in, and we played under 23s game, like the Premier League 2 sort of regional playoff final. We played against Huddersfield at Bramall Lane, and he was there to watch. And I remember him coming to speak to me after and just sort of said, sort of like a proper performance almost. Because like I keep saying, he wanted look forward, play forward, no risk sort of football. And that's how I was playing. And came in for pre-season and straight away got given a squad number of number 12. So straight away I'm thinking I'm obviously involved. I think Darren Ward had a huge impact in putting me in, but again, I think it was the fact that I could hold myself in an environment of very experienced players who have played Premier League, Championship, all sort of sometimes bombarding you, and me being able to hold myself and not necessarily bite back, but have an opinion in the right way and also be able to concentrate on football. And we started terribly. We were bottom of the league after 4 games. Brought in Simon Moore. George Long unfortunately got dropped, but then I I stayed as the second choice keeper, and at that point that showed me obviously huge faith the manager had in me, and I got my debut in the FA Cup against Leyton Orient at Bramall Lane. And yeah, it was amazing, and obviously me and Chris Wilder had a fantastic relationship then, and we still do now. And I tried desperately hard not to leave when Bournemouth came in for me, but kind of pushed me out the door because he needed a striker to get him promoted to the Championship, and that's what he went and done.
Yeah. So that takes us nicely then. So how do you deal with? Because that's a big move then, isn't it? You've moved for it's well documented, but the best part of £1 million as a 18-year-old, still 18?
18, yeah.
18. So an 18-year-old moving for £1 million to a club. How do you deal with that? Because that's big time now.
Yeah, that was. I'd gone from a team which was doing really well, but doing really well because of sort of the chemistry we had, and it's again well documented. The gaffer, Chris Wilder, likes his team events and his bonding and things to a Premier League team, which is everything is down to the detail of sort of highest recovery, hardly any team bonding. If the team bonding is anything, it'll be sort of a dinner and it's very strict and things like that. And so I'd gone from a culture which you win and you celebrate it to win and it's like when's the next one? When's the next win?
Yeah.
But I'd lived on my own before, or moved away from home before, so that was fine. I think the biggest change was me sort of living on my own in an apartment down there. It wasn't an hour away on the train or an hour and a half drive for mum and dad to come if just for a coffee. Mum used to do that in holidays and stuff. And so there was a lot of things which didn't go too well, sort of paying the bills and washing and things like that, which I had to obviously learn quick. But the football side of it was still the football side of it. I got told that one of the last pieces of advice before my debut for Sheffield United, Darren Ward said to me, it's a game of football with 22 players, a football, green grass, white lines and 2 posts. Doesn't matter if it's got 80,000 seats around it or people standing around it. It's still a game of football. So that's what I took down with me, knowing the fact that I'm going down there to play football. I'm going to train. I'm going to train at the time with more experienced players at a higher level. But like I say, the harder thing was trying to adapt to sort of becoming an adult on my own and doing it sort of at a click of a finger.
Yeah, bro. And Bournemouth, some of the guys down there did some, got a great program. Anthony White and Neil Moss heading it up. Got a great program down there that you fell into. They've done some great work with you, and the work you've done massively helps as well. But then you go out for your first loan. So your first loan was Chesterfield, January, bottom of the league.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that point didn't care. Yeah. That point didn't care. That was just me. That was just me getting out. I've said it multiple times. I was very difficult to deal with at Bournemouth for Anton Mossy. So like I say, I've gone from feeling like an integral part of Sheffield United's team, on the bench every week, knowing if there's one injury, then you're going to play, to, I called it no man's land. So I was training 20 with the first team every day, but would always sort of get the back end of a small-sided game because the first and second choice goalies, and wouldn't play 23s. So when I got shipped out to Chesterfield, that was like heaven for me. Going back to the Sheffield area, get to be with my friends again and playing. That was just a massive learning curve. Loads of mistakes, loads of good times, and it was just one of them things which I had to do. I had to go and get beat up. I had to go and throw a couple in. I didn't have to, but I did. But I had to understand the fact that you're going to have three sides of a stadium shouting abuse at you. It's all your fault. And in them lower leagues, they're less than 4 or 5 yards away from you. And that was how I wanted it. It's how every single time I'd stand up to it. And Chesterfield was amazing. Yeah.
I know you've got a very good memory, and I know you'll remember your debut against Accrington. And I was talking to someone about this the other day, but I just want to loop in a bit more of our conversation from before, because just to let the people watching this or listening to this know, you played against Accrington in your debut and made probably 2 quite big errors that led to goals.
Yeah.
So league debut, 2 big errors. I'm watching the game, and a few people say to me afterwards, "Oh, keeper wasn't great, was he?" And I have to say, I saw exactly what I saw on the goalkeeping camp, exactly some of the things that you've described on this chat around your positivity, your intent. You kept doing or trying to do the right things. You didn't hide. You didn't shy away. You just kept at it. And I drove away from that ground thinking, I really like that performance. And I think that's probably just one for the people watching there, is to look at intent and look at people's personality when they play. Because although there was 2 mistakes, I think how you handled the day and the mistakes and how positively you tried to play the game was massively standout. So I think that's probably, you probably didn't know that at the time, but the people that needed to know did know.
Mm-hmm.
So another loan, or back to Bournemouth, a bit of an injury pre-season, or quite a big injury to your thumb. Then you end up in a similar situation, but in League One at Wimbledon. And this time you escaped relegation. So tell us about, the differences there and what happened.
Yeah, the Wimbledon loan again was bottom of the league in January, but it was a hefty 12 points off second bottom and 14 points off getting out of relegation. And at that point, I basically had a joke and a laugh with Anton Mossy, basically saying, "Are you doing this on purpose?" And they just basically pushed me through the door and sent me on my way. But that then became, whereas Chesterfield was just me getting out there and playing and absorbing everything and making mistakes and doing well, not doing well, and all the trials and tribulations. This then came to how and why. How are you going to do it and why aren't you doing it? It came into reviewing every game properly, no matter if, and we reviewed it in the way of Bournemouth and Wimbledon. So if Bournemouth like to play a bit more football, how would you look at it this way? Did you see the left back was on from a back pass from the right side, etc.? So that then came into actually trying to perform at a high level for me to achieve and the team to achieve the goals. And don't know how we done it. Obviously, at times we big goals and big moments and big saves, as you say. But it was just like, it was that transformation of Chesterfield almost felt like the younger age, sort of 18s, learning. It's okay if you make a mistake, it's learning. To Wimbledon was serious, cutthroat. Why aren't you doing it? How are you doing it? And that was the one time which obviously I look at and think has propelled me into the sort of direction which I've now gone to.
Yeah. So that season ends up being a success. You stayed up last day of the season away at Bradford. I remember the game fondly. You were a mammoth in that game. You know, again, just your positivity, how you came for your crosses, how you dealt with the big occasion, managed the game was outstanding, and then celebrating with the fans afterwards. I know, you know, it was one of the best moments of your career so far. So you've done your loans, you've played first team football. How do you become number one at your parent club? Because that's the one thing you've not done at this stage. How did you get yourself to that point?
The loan obviously helped, showing that I can be relied on. But there is luck in football and being at the right place at the right time. And although the last few weeks of the Wimbledon season was great, it was also really difficult because Mark Travers played against Tottenham second to last game of the season in the Premier League, hours before I played against Bradford, and he kept a clean sheet, 1-1-0, man of the match. He was a year younger than me, Travers is, and that hurt a lot, because I was the one sort of getting experience out on loan. I was the one who they signed and wanted to bring through. So that summer had a real grip between my teeth, and it was luck, like as I say, luck in football, but sort of Asmir and Artur Boric were sort of in and out of form, and hence why Trav's got sort of the chance. And the gaffer, Eddie Howe, said to me, there's no set number one at the moment, so come back and earn it. Came back training, and he, from I think second or third day in, said you're a different person from the one which you was 6 months ago. And I think that's because I saw the end goal. Whereas before, as I said to you, training doesn't really appetise me unless there's competition on it. But when I see there's an actual end goal to it, or there's a light at the end of the tunnel for me to actually go and get, I went and got that shirt, and that's the only mentality I had that summer. And it was just me in training every day, full throttle in the games, proving I can play short, but I'm not bothered if I need to go long. Like I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to play the game properly, and got given the opportunity by the manager in the first game of the season.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously well documented how that first season went. And anyone who watches your performances that season, not the results, the performances, they would know that, how well you played that season in terms of how positive you were with the ball at your feet, how many big saves you made, how brave you were, all them things, all them little goalkeeping details. Although that was a relegation season, it really was a mature performance, and I think that propelled you into your move back to Sheffield United, which obviously was a massive move in terms of money. So to go for that amount of money again, the best part of 20 million, brings back that question mark on pressure. So kind of getting to the end of this, how did that feel going back to the club that you'd moved from? Because that's quite a unique situation.
Yeah, it's the first time I really struggled to sort of deal with the pressure. Not going back to the club, but the fact of Dean Henderson being immense for him for the past 2 years. And it was, at that time, I wouldn't search my name on social media, but you obviously follow certain things and certain retweets get back to you and things. And that was the first time I got just purely mentioned, and it was just me and Dino on this sort of seesaw, and he was always the one who was higher. And I just took all that onto my shoulders of me thinking, because obviously I'm a Sheffield United fan, or brought into a Sheffield United fan base. So I used to watch the games and I was like, Dean's made that save and Dean's done this, and the fans are saying Dean about this, about Dean, and everything. I just put everything onto my shoulders, and it's the one time where I took my eye off enjoyment, took my eye off the ball, took my eye off me as a person. So that was tough, and it got to the point at Christmas. I spoke to my dad, and me and my dad had honest chats where he said if it was his decision, he wouldn't have let me go back to Sheffield. But it was my decision, and obviously I went and left, and he was just like, I want to see you and try and enjoy yourself again. And that's ultimately how I came back to sort of smiling and going back to diving in the mud. And I think he wrote "F it" on my gloves. One of the games, the Man United game, I think, when we won the 2-1 away.
Yeah.
And he wrote "F it" on my gloves, basically just, if anything happens, just look at it, and that's the first thing you see. Doesn't really matter. Life is life, and football is just a part of it.
Yeah, beautiful. So that little bit there, Ramos, just reminds me a little bit of the Bolton situation when Jack Walton came in, and you had to potentially, you took your eye off the ball, but you could only, what got you out of that situation at Sheffield United, and where your form changed and your mindset changed. I think you just, again, controlled what you could and focused on focused on your performances. And I think that's probably like a really consistent message in this chat is, like, you've had so many distractions and challenges put in front of you. And I know when I've worked with you, with the teams, you've always had challenges in front of you and around you. And how you've overcome them challenges by just embracing them, controlling what you can is a real mark of who you are. And I'd encourage anyone who's listening just to take that on. I think that's an amazing skill set that you've got. And I personally think that's one of the biggest things that's got you to where you are now. Which leads me on to my last question before the quick fire round. What do you do now to sustain the level and the form that you're at?
Not getting ahead of myself is the main thing. Knowing that I've got a top class goalkeeper behind me who could quite easily take my shirt again tomorrow. So if I drop my levels, then I'll be back sitting on that bench and waiting for my chance again. So it's me not getting ahead of myself, me knowing I'm not where I want to be, me knowing that I've got things to improve on, and me knowing that I've got me mum and dad will kick my ass if I do anything stupid. So basically that.
Brilliant. Aaron, amazing to listen to you. So honest, candid, and inspiring, even for someone who knows you as well as I do, and especially for everyone listening, I'm sure that's the same. So, quick fire round. We ask everyone these questions. I don't want you to think. I know you're a thinker, but I don't want you to think about these things too long. Just try just try and give it a quick answer. You ready? So, favorite training session?
2 goals, one in the middle, on the angle. You know the one.
Degree, yeah. I like it. Yeah. Superstitions.
Right glove on, left glove on, right glove off. Shake hands with a bare hand.
Nice. Favorite goalkeeper.
UC Askalainen, Buffon, and Foster. Fozzie.
You can only pick one.
Oh, you should think. Sorry, Fozzie. I'm gonna have to go UC. I'll go UC.
And your biggest influence in football?
My mum and dad. Easily. I wouldn't have been able to get to train him without them.
Class. Aaron, thanks so much for coming on. I mean what I say. Like, so many people benefit from this. Amazing stuff. Amazing to hear you reflect on where you're at so far, and we're all behind you and hope you continue your great form and journey that you're on.
Thank you very much. Just want to say one thing. I can't believe I left out goalie walls.
I did think that.
But the 2-goal game, which we do, is really enjoyable. So I'll stick with that. But yeah, thank you for having me, and hopefully someone will take some part of my journey out, and it'll help them.
They definitely will.